Hello, Redline Ranger and Rangerettes. Welcome to Redline Collectibles. I have a short box opening for you. There's a bunch of cars that came in from the West Coast, and they're all wrapped like this. Again, I tip my hat to the consigner that, taking care of the toys in transit is so important and is never to be overlooked. How much it makes a difference when you get a car in the mail, through all the bumps and bruises potentially along the way, you end up with a beautiful Torero like this. I call this the wet paint look. And when you see it in person, this is actually a rose. You see the little bit of rose on the very tip there in that corner panel? That's indicative of the darkness of this particular Spectra Flame. Now, you know what? That's got a champagne interior. I don't see champagne a lot. Huh. I see a lot of dark, maybe white interior. I'm going to look that up. Got a tarnished base. And just beauty all the way around. Wow, look at the taillight paint too. Pretty nice. Love that dark color. 1969 concept cars. When Mattel was in their groove, man, they found that the concept cars, the Twin Mills, Toreros, Turbofires were really popular, and they made way too many of them. So chances are you'll have a couple in your collection, but you have one clean as this orange Twinny. The thing about this car is look close at the chrome on the engines. Beautiful. There's white interior on that one. Look at the difference. White interior versus champagne interior. Seeing that difference there, guys? Well, tips are clean. Top edges are clean on the casting. No roughage on the top. Sometimes it'll spill down the track, and you'll have some bumps and bruises on the very top. Usually you'll have a mismatch of colors from the base to the top. This one is pretty close-ish. A little bit lighter than the top, just a tad lighter. I like that appearance, don't you? That's neat. Chances are they're sprayed in different parts of the factory. That's my guess. Anybody have any comments about that? I greatly appreciate your insight as to why the mismatches are going on. Let the debate begin. All right, I'll open these up off of, I'll open up this one here. So it's another Torero. And this one is an Aqua. Look how beautiful, guys. Another gorgeous. So typically when I get cars, I don't know why this is, but, for the most part, I'm not trying to, oh, there you go. So now you got the difference. Yeah, the white interior and the dark interior. This is going to be a toughie. Not only because it's a dark rose color, but look at the interior versus your typical white. Seeing that? Yeah, variations and red lines is what you're looking for, and I've got a surprise for you at the very end. So if you hang around, which I hope you do, you will see, oh, there's a fingerprint on there. Right there. Yeah, get CSI on that one, find out whose it is. But nice looking Aqua here on this Torero. That's a beautiful car. Look at those colors. What I was going to say is the West Coast the West Coast red lines, for whatever reason, super clean and very, I guess from the standpoint of the paint, you don't get a lot of paint issues because of the maybe the environment that they came from. Here is this is Gold Leaf. Looks like the kid touched up the horn and the stripes on that, and painted that little spot right there. That's not supposed to be painted. So you have gold. This is a US paddy wagon. Some people will buy paddy wagons just to take the wheels off. This will be one of those cars too, because the front radiator has got a little bit of missing paint, and it's been touched up a little bit. So Yeah, the caps can be really, they can be utilized for other purposes. No problem. All right, let's move on. I've got, like I said, there's a couple surprises in this group. Two in particular I want to point out, but I'll wait till everybody's settled in, get your coffee or your adult beverage, and you're enjoying a little bit of Redline memory lane activities here. This short order is not too bad. I like that color. Base is clean. Of course, it's got the typical Hong Kong base, you know, a little gunmetal, a little bit of shine, you know. It's sort of a cross-section of different flavors on the base of the Hong Kong castings. Of course, the engine, we've talked about this before, same engine as the Seasider. And the Sugar Caddy shares the same engine. And very clean on this Ford F100. The corners clean, the top clean. That'll be a nice upgrade for somebody. All caps. Put them right there. I'm going to put these concept cars right over yonder. In fact, I'm going to put the rose dark interior and the white interior Aqua, and then we'll do a perusal of the cars after we're done here. Oh, okay. So got a Harry here. This is a late run Harry hauler. It's got the piece of metal in between the pipes. A little bite from the casting in the factory on that one pipe there. Glass is good. I hesitant about that because this is notorious casting for the glass to be damaged or scratched or cracked because the casting is so heavy, and it was a real racer down the track. So therefore, a lot of times you'll see your Harry haulers with all kinds of bumps and bruises along the front here, and then the side these little vent things, whatever they're called, very vulnerable for wear. So that's very clean, very dark from the hatch to the back. Nothing you can do about that. Chances are the hatch was painted again in a different part of the factory. We've talked about that earlier, about the base differences. So very, again, another wet look here. Seeing that? Sort of a wet look finish on the Spectraflame. Caps are okay. Good corners. Very dark, like I said, in the back. Yeah, not too bad. Have you got a green Harry? Looking to upgrade maybe? A little bit of Tone Monster in the back. Call that Tone Monster. What goes good with a Harry? Well, let's see. Let's go down to opening up here. This was very popular as well in 1970, I think 69. I can't remember. What the heck was it? 68 was the Fire Chief. Now, the thing about the Chief is a couple things I always look at with this particular casting is this was known as one of the first Mattel manufactured products that they used the Tampo painting insignias, the Chief. So that's very early on when they're trying to discern and perfect and mass produce quality, where you get nice crispy words like Chief and the insignia. The other thing I look at too with this casting is the dome up on top. And I always like to twist it and turn it around so you can see that it hasn't endured any type of damage from racing upside down. So that dome is very clean. Also, the whistles, if you look close, I'm seeing very clean, guys. This is going to be a tough get for somebody. Yeah, edges on this Plymouth, edges are clean. Ooh, going to be an upgrade. The more I'm looking at it, the more I'm falling in love. How about you? Wow, this thing is clean. Beautiful on the bearing wheels. Look at those US mediums. Gonzo, man, that's a nice car. Very shiny base. Upgrade City. This has got upgrade written all over it. Get on there. Look at those. Are you digging it? I know you are. I am too. I love clean red lines. Hey, speaking of something different, how about 1974? The bugs, you know, after the manufacturing process was over in the original 16. Actually, no, I'm gonna retract that last statement I was leading up to. The plastic base, these were made in 74, 77. And what happened is that they were put away for a while because of a failed promotion with the Mattel Toy Company. And I don't know if it was a detergent company or if it was bags or whatever it was, but the promotion fell through, and then these sat for like 3 years. So they were made in the Redline era. And then what happened is a Wisconsin toy company, no longer in business, based out of Milwaukee, purchased the overstock, the failed promotion cars, which would include this guy with the plastic bases, and then, because it was a promotion, and put those into baggies. And the Wisconsin Toy Company then sold these along with 4 others. I think they were a total of 5, but very clean. Yeah, that's a nice one. So sometimes this will be sold as a 1980 model, but actually that's not true. They were made during the Redline Flying Colors era around that time, and then they were just tucked away and in storage and then rebaggied and came out in 1980. So that's the way I understand it. I consulted the Elite Redline Guide for some of that information. So if you've got a Redline Guide by Sid and by Jack, and you want to look at, you know, some of the history on some of these red lines, the colors, you know, the reasons why you're seeing certain castings in like the Flying Colors era, you'll see that there's a little story behind the custom Volkswagen, the Swing and Wing, the Warpath. Trying to think of the other ones too. I think there were a total of 5 that were in baggies. The Buzz Off with the ladybug, not the ladybug, the evil weevil bug. I am no expert at this stuff. I'm just an amateur, learning about red lines like we all are, aren't we? Magenta. This is a sand crab, a little rub right there. Little rub on the front. This will be a nice little filler. If you're looking for a sand crab in magenta, this may be your candidate. Just as a filler, you know, it doesn't have any daisies on it, so that's cool. Sometimes the daisies, you know, over applied or missing some petals, what have you, takes away from the value of it. But you know what? Nice little filler in magenta. I think I have a bunch of these. I think that this collection came with several sand crabs, and we got a common color green on this coupe. Couple little looks like factory on there. Yeah, I could feel it on the top there. Nice looking green, guys. Very, very shiny on the chrome on the front grille. Always like to see that. Does have a dark interior. I always look for buttons just to be sure. Don't want to pull that back. 2 things. You don't want to be pulling by the hatch because you'll end up wearing that paint down. And then don't pull too far because you don't want to cause any type of nick on that rumble seat against the side there. I'm just kind of looking for any type of evidence of buttons, and I don't see any. I don't see any buttons on this one. That's okay. This is going to be a nice get for somebody. Yeah. Nice shade of color here. Very bright and shiny. A little bit of tarnish. Not too bad. Nothing too silly on that coupe. 36. What else do we have here? I think there were a couple more crabs in the group, as I recall. Oh yeah, look at. I had forgotten that there was a real nice pink in there. Actually, another filler. But you know what? Again, if you haven't got a pink sand crab, I don't know if you know this or not, but the top glass is wedged in and held up by the seats. There's pressure on those 2 high seats in the back to have that glass hang in there. So this will be a nice filler for somebody. Caps. No stickers. Put him here. There. Coupe. If you're still here, thank you for watching the video. I've got a surprise for you if you're going to wait till the end. Yeah, I've got a surprise for you. This is actually in rose. This is a dark rose sand crab, as opposed to the magenta in the back there. This is another wet-looking car. Reminds me of that Torero a little bit. Torero was made in 1969. This was made in 1970. A Tom Daniels design. Nice caps. Sand crab. I think we have one more. As I'm opening it up, sure enough, look what comes out of this one. Nice blue. Not too bad. Trio of crabs. Let's do some heavyweights. This particular box came with several cement mixers with the closed variation drum versus open, and I'll show you the difference between the two. All made in Hong Kong. Basically produced for 2 years. That was it. A little bit of rub on there. This would be a little filler car for somebody. Yeah, it's got the orange drum with orange base. Let's move these crabs up here. But I'll show you what I mean with the other ones. Blue is a common color. Light green, common color. This is also a closed drum, closed hole. The Hot Wheels Cement Company. Dark interior. Does have a little doink right there on the glass. Nice looking caps. So there's two closed variation drums. Ooh, this is going to be a tough copper. And it's got the, first of all, copper with white interior, much more valuable. And then the yellow drum versus orange. So the yellow drum and the dark base versus the orange base. So copper, white interior, orange, yellow, and brown. And the open drum variation. I'll put that right there. You can see the difference between them. That's a tough car right there. And then I have one more. You like heavyweights? Oh, Aqua. Hey, this is a nice one too. Look at that. Another yellow, dark, white interior, and I'll clean that glass up a little bit. Got some residue on there. I use a little trick called distill. Actually, I use spring water on a Q-tip. Clean up the cars that way. Open drum, brown base, yellow top. One of my buddies in Texas is a heavyweight person. Right, Tex? There, look at that. Nice little array of cement mixers. The closed drum in the orange and the open drums in the yellow. And then the brown base versus the orange base. The white interior versus the dark interior. Man, Redline fun at its best. Okay, surprise time. Got a couple of surprises for you. Let's count it down. I got 3 more to go. So let's move these amigos off of the spinneroo. Get these up here. Put that there. All right, drum roll, please. We're going to come down to the last 3. I can see through the plastic. I'm loving this one. The Mercedes-Benz C11. It's a common color, but you don't see them cleaned this often. This is a very clean 72 Mercedes-Benz C11 in light green. If you like this car, if you like any cars, you want to get a hold of me. I have the permission from the consignor to work with you if you'd like to take an opportunity to maybe purchase one of these cars, or 2 or 3, before the auction happens. These are coming down the pike for sale somewhere next week, I think the 21st of October at 5:30 Central Standard Time on a Facebook site called Studio-Redline, or get a hold of me direct because I may be able to hammer out a deal with you. So that's number 3. Number 2 is a common color, but Mustangs in general very tough. And they came with white interior and they came with dark interior. Yes, sir. Pins are good. Slight overspray in that engine bay. Looks like there's no hood nick on this one. A little bit of roughage right there on the top. Tough little blue here, guys. Yeah. Mustangs in general very tough. Based on the 1967 Fastback from the Ford Motor Company. These are super popular. I don't get many Mustangs, and when I do, they are popular. That's a sweetheart. Okay, guys, last but not least, you know what? I'm going to make room for it all by itself. I'm going to make you wait. Here you go. Let me take this Mustang off. Here it is. The star of the show. This is going to be the star of the show, guys. I know that you've come here, you've waited 20 plus minutes to see it, but let me introduce you to something very tough. I don't get these hardly ever. What do you think? Are you seeing it? Look at the quality of this Doorline. This is very typical with the Doorlines. You get a little bit of fooey in the back there. Don't know what causes that. Sometimes you'll see 2 little areas of marks on either side of the back seat. But man, how about an Aqua Doorline? Very tough car. Oh, there's no hood nick on this one. Man, nice. Oh, that's why the hood stills up by itself. Look at that engine bay. Good grief. Look how clean that paint is on the edge of the hood. The paint matches pretty close. Maybe a smidge darker in some areas. Front quarter panel, clean, beautiful, small. Doorline, of course, two little marks. Super shiny. Tail light paint, almost 100% for the driver's side. About 94.8573 on the passenger side. Spoiler looking pretty clean. Deck, as I mentioned, does have this very common factory issues. Sometimes you'll see that with the Doorline. Doorline, of course, was the transition casting when they were moving away from the original 1968 custom Firebird to the light My Firebird. And this is what happened. This tooling was still in play. And you'll see these in a couple of 68s. Clear glass, of course, indicating US. Beautiful shiny base. Gosh, this is a nice car. With a little smidge of tarnish. Whoa, baby, this is going to be fun for somebody. I just know it. We're going to make this a feature car. Or you want to pounce ahead of time, you're more than welcome to give it a shot. I'll try to work with you. How about that, guys? A little Doorline action. Anyway, shall we go through the summary of what we looked at today? Sure, why not? Let's do it. First and foremost is that beautiful Doorline that you're looking at. And then the other cars, let me do this, see if I can do this without messing up the camera. One time I did it and I lost everything. Okay, whew, good. I gotta trust myself doing that. Doorline Custom Firebird and Aqua. Beautiful 69 concept cars. Flying Colors, that's a Wisconsin toy company. Crabs, Coops. Patty, Crabs. That's an upgrade for somebody on that fire chief. Beautiful short order and Harry. And then we did those 4 open drum, closed drum, white interior, dark interior. Very, very tough copper on the heavyweights there, the 1970s. Manufactured custom Mustang in blue, and then a Mercedes-Benz CE111, C11, C111. Anyway, again, thank you so much for supporting the channel, for liking, subscribing, and being our loyal, you know what? Our loyal good people. That would be you. Until we meet again, thanks everyone. Talk to you soon. Bye.